Did you know that 80% of your daily thoughts are negative? That's right, most people spend their day caught in a cycle of worries and fears. But what if I told you that you can change that? Cultivating constructive thoughts can transform your life. Listen to Titus' message next and find out how.
Cultivating constructive thoughts is fundamental for an abundant life. Thoughts radiate waves that form your mental environment. Constructive thoughts attract peace and prosperity, aligning with divine desire. On the other hand, negativity attracts negative pressures, worsening your well-being. Choose to vibrate positively to manifest good in your life, for that is what God expects of you. And now, listen to Apollo narrate a story that perfectly illustrates this message.
In the heart of the country, where agricultural fields seem to stretch endlessly under the generous sun of the Cerrado, stands the headquarters of AgroForte, a medium-sized company that operates with excellence in the agribusiness sector. Its modern building, with sober lines and glass walls reflecting the golden hues of dusk, contrasts with the rustic nature of the surrounding plantations. There, men and women from different backgrounds gather every day with the common purpose of feeding the world. Among them is Daniel, 28, recently promoted to operations manager. Son of farmers from the countryside, he carries in his blood a passion for the land, but in his soul, a deeper calling, to serve with integrity, without straying from the principles he learned as a child, in faith and respect for God's word. Although he graduated in agronomy and had an exemplary trajectory in the company since his internship days, Daniel found himself, for the first time, challenged by a type of pressure not learned from books, the responsibility of leadership. Right in the first week, a storm brewed. One of AgroForte's largest clients, a demanding multinational, notified the company about a lower quality in the last batch of soybeans delivered. The threat of contract termination loomed like a dark cloud over the financial reports. At the same time, Daniel faced internal tensions. His team, composed of older employees skeptical of his rise, showed silent resistance. With sleepless nights and overwhelming doubts, Daniel wondered if he was even the right man for the job. In one of those early mornings, exhausted, he opened his Bible on his bedside table in his room. The lamp's light cut through the darkness and illuminated the passage Joshua chapter 1 verse 9, which would change everything. It said, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Daniel felt as if that promise had crossed time just to reach him at that instant. He understood that true courage was not the absence of fear, but obedience to the Lord in the face of fear. And at that moment, he chose to trust. The next morning, he entered the office with a different demeanor. His walk was firm. His eyes, serene. He called his team for a meeting. Instead of imposing orders, he listened. He gave a voice to each employee, including those who subtly criticized him. He humbly acknowledged mistakes, but presented a clear plan to win back the client and restore confidence. He proposed a 3-step quality review protocol, with pairs responsible for each phase. He suggested that everyone actively participate in developing the new standard, which generated a sense of belonging and immediate engagement. Furthermore, he personally called the dissatisfied client. He didn't outsource the blame. With transparency and honesty, he presented the correction plan, committed to deadlines, and proposed an on-site technical visit. His posture surprised the multinational executives. In less than 2 weeks, the client regained trust, and in addition to maintaining the contract, increased the purchase volume for the next harvest. Internally, the winds also shifted. Daniel instituted a seed moment, bi-weekly 15-minute meetings where each employee was encouraged to share a simple but innovative idea for the company's daily operations. The proposal stemmed from his personal reading of Proverbs, where wisdom is described as a fertile field. The result was surprising. Small ideas led to big changes. A forklift operator suggested adjustments to pallet arrangement, saving hours in internal transport. A logistics intern created a visual labeling system that reduced shipping errors by 70%. Inspired by Nehemiah, Daniel began to pray before important decisions. This was not a visible or mystical ritual. It was intimate, silent, a moment of connection and listening. This made him more centered, less impulsive. His team noticed. A field technician, when called for a small meeting, commented, "Daniel doesn't speak very loudly, but we always leave conversations wanting to do better." But the trials didn't stop. 6 months later, AgroForte was hit by a widespread crisis. Commodity prices plummeted, and cash flow tightened. Senior management suggested payroll cuts. Daniel, again under pressure, was called to present a plan. Fire people? It was the logical path. But not the most humane, and not desirable for Daniel. He withdrew in prayer for a weekend. He sought discernment. And then, as if by a breath of divine creativity, an idea emerged. Instead of layoffs, he proposed an emergency program named Second Harvest. The name referred to the practice of collecting leftover grains after the harvest, an ancient principle of compassion and social responsibility. The plan included 1. Temporary suspension of overtime, with reallocation of functions. 2. Review of contracts with suppliers and renegotiation of terms. 3. Creation of an internal resource-saving campaign, called Every Cent Counts. 4. Incentive for innovation with symbolic awards for ideas that generated savings or productivity. The proposal was well received. The numbers began to rebalance. HR reported an increase in engagement with the plan. A mural in the cafeteria weekly recorded the internal harvests, liters of fuel saved, errors avoided, smiles distributed. When the crisis passed, Daniel was called by the company president. You led with tenacity and compassion. You saved jobs and showed us a new way to conduct business. Daniel knew, however, that everything was by God's grace. He had merely obeyed. Obeyed the word, the impulse of faith, the sense of justice, and the commitment to the collective good. At the end of the workday, he looked out his office window at the sunset painting the fields orange and gold. And in silence, he gave thanks. For there, in the corporate world, he had learned that there is no separation between the sacred and the professional. When you serve with purpose, everything becomes fertile ground. Keep watching to discover, by listening to what Titus found in God's Word to substantiate this inspiring story.
Daniel's inner desire is to respond to the Lord. He yearns to express himself wisely, to be heard and seen by his peers and by his team in such a way that they understand his intentions and objectives. He always seeks to gain confidence in these three passages. The first is Joshua chapter 1 verse 9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. This passage is a powerful reminder that we are not alone in our struggles. God is always with us, encouraging us to be strong and courageous. In Daniel's story, we saw how this passage inspired him to face his fears and lead with confidence. When we cultivate constructive thoughts and trust in God, we can overcome any obstacle. Daniel's next basis for self-affirmation is in passage 2, Philippians chapter 4 verse 8, where we should focus on good thoughts. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is true, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. This passage teaches us to focus on the positive aspects of life. Daniel applied this principle by practicing gratitude and focusing on the good things, even amidst challenges. By doing so, he attracted peace and prosperity into his life and into his team. Concluding with passage 3, we have in Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. This passage highlights the importance of protecting our thoughts and emotions. Daniel understood that his thoughts had a direct impact on his well-being and his ability to lead. By choosing to vibrate positively, he manifested good in his life and in the lives of those around him. Now, listen to Apollo present a reflection on how we can apply these principles in our own lives.
Daniel's story teaches us that cultivating constructive thoughts is essential for a full and successful life. When we focus on the positive and trust in God, we can face any challenge with courage and determination. Daniel, a young manager in an agribusiness company, faced numerous obstacles, but found strength in his faith and in the practice of constructive thinking. The passage from Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 was a powerful reminder to Daniel that he was not alone in his struggles. God was with him, encouraging him to be strong and courageous. This passage teaches us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite fear. When we trust in God and cultivate positive thoughts, we can overcome any obstacle. Philippians chapter 4 verse 8 teaches us to focus on the positive aspects of life. Daniel applied this principle by practicing gratitude and focusing on the good things, even amidst challenges. By doing so, he attracted peace and prosperity into his life and into his team. This passage reminds us that our thoughts have a direct impact on our well-being and our ability to lead. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23 highlights the importance of protecting our thoughts and emotions. Daniel understood that his thoughts had a direct impact on his well-being and his ability to lead. By choosing to vibrate positively, he manifested good in his life and in the lives of those around him. This passage teaches us that our thoughts are powerful and that we must protect them carefully. Daniel's story also teaches us that effective leadership is not just about making difficult decisions, but also about inspiring and motivating those around us. Daniel managed to unite his team and face challenges together, creating a more positive and productive work environment. This reminds us that when we cultivate constructive thoughts, we not only improve our own lives but also have a positive impact on the people around us. Furthermore, Daniel's story shows us that faith and positivity can help us face crises and emerge stronger than ever. When Daniel faced the financial crisis at AgroForte, he turned to his faith and constructive thinking to find a solution that wouldn't affect his employees. His positive and determined approach inspired everyone around him and helped the company overcome the crisis. In summary, Daniel's story teaches us that cultivating constructive thoughts is essential for a full and successful life. When we focus on the positive and trust in God, we can face any challenge with courage and determination. Additionally, we can inspire and motivate those around us, creating a more positive and productive environment. We would greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to like this video. It may seem like a small action, but it helps us continue to offer good messages and thoughts. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our future reflections. Your comments also mean a lot to us. If you find what we share useful, please leave us your comments and interests so we can cater to them in future videos. Here, we'll keep the conversation going and improve our encounters. In the description, you can find a sociological focus on what was presented in the video. We believe evolution happens with every new perspective. Click on the suggested video now. It might be the missing piece to expand your understanding. Allow yourself to explore and discover new dimensions of thought. Thank you for being here and for staying with us until the end.